Have you ever found yourself just staring at your workspace, feeling completely overwhelmed before you've even really started your day? Or maybe you've tried, organizing your office the way quote unquote normal people do, only to watch it descend into chaos within days, maybe even hours.
Yeah, that sounds familiar for many.
Or, okay, how about this? You find yourself fidgeting in meetings, constantly battling this urge to move, thinking it's just a bad habit, a distraction you need to somehow suppress.
Right.
If any of that resonates with you, well, then you're definitely in the right place today. We're taking a deep dive into attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, specifically looking at how it shows up in adults, particularly in our working lives.
Exactly.
Our mission here is really to unpack the symptoms, explore how your environment, even the design of your space, can massively impact focus. And most importantly, we want to equip you with practical strategies, some clever hacks maybe, to manage it effectively. We're trying to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from the sources we've looked at, give you a shortcut to being well-informed, and hopefully spark some of those aha moments about how you, or maybe someone you know, can really thrive.
That's a great goal. And it's so important to understand ADHD isn't just a childhood thing people grow out of.
Right. I think that's a common misconception.
It is. While it usually starts in childhood, it very often continues right into adulthood. And honestly, many people aren't recognized or diagnosed until they're much older. It's fundamentally a brain disorder. It affects how you manage attention, your ability to stay still, and how you regulate behavior.
Okay.
Now, you can't prevent it or cure it, but recognizing it early and having a good, solid management plan, that's absolutely key to living a full, productive life.
So when we talk about adult ADHD, what are we actually defining? Is it just, being a bit scattered sometimes or forgetting your keys?
Oh, it's much more than that. Far from it, really.
Yeah.
We're talking about a neurodevelopmental disorder. It's characterized by persistent problems like real difficulty paying attention, hyperactivity, which interestingly often turns into this inner restlessness in adults.
Ah, okay. Not necessarily bouncing off the walls.
Exactly. More like a feeling of being constantly on or unable to relax. And also impulsive behavior. And
Right.
crucially, it's rooted in what we call executive dysfunction. Think of it like challenges with the brain's control center for planning, organizing, remembering things, managing tasks.
Got it. The CEO part of the brain.
Kind of, yeah. It affects key areas like the prefrontal cortex, the basal ganglia, the anterior cingulate cortex, all vital for self-regulation, for getting things done. Oh, and just a quick clarification. You might still hear the term ADD or attention deficit disorder sometimes.
Yeah.
That's simply the older term for what we now call ADHD. Same condition.
Okay. That's good to know. And the impact. It sounds like it goes way beyond just work or misplacing things.
Precisely. These symptoms can really profoundly interfere with so many parts of an adult's life. We're talking relationships, physical health, finances, and yes, critically, work performance. Untreated ADHD can lead to some pretty significant challenges, things like unemployment, serious financial problems, poor self-image, even increased risks for other issues like substance misuse or even traffic accidents. It really underscores why understanding and managing it is just so vital.
That definition really clarifies the what. But now, for a lot of people listening, the big question is probably, how does this actually look?
Yeah.
In their day-to-day working life? Because like you said, it's not just a replay of childhood hyperactivity.
That's a critical point, yeah. The core symptoms are similar, but they present very differently in adults, so that obvious hyperactivity you might see in a kid. In an adult, it often becomes more of an inner restlessness, like a real difficulty truly relaxing or sitting still. Or sometimes it shows up as being really talkative, maybe interrupting people, or just having this constant mental buzz, a brain that feels like it just won't shut off.
I can imagine that's exhausting.
It really is. And impulsivity in adults, that might look like saying things without thinking, noticeable impatience, maybe irresponsible spending habits, or a constant need for excitement, for sensation seeking.
Okay. And what about the inattention piece? How does that really manifest in a working adult beyond just, daydreaming? Are there subtle ways it hits productivity that maybe people don't even connect to ADHD?
Absolutely. Inattention in adults can look like getting bored really easily, especially with routine tasks. It can be an intense struggle with organization, keeping track of papers, emails, projects, finding it incredibly hard to stay focused on one task, even if you know it's important. Decision-making can become a huge hurdle, too, that sort of analysis paralysis.
Oh, definitely felt that.
Right, and it can lead to being much more sensitive to stress. Minor frustrations can feel totally overwhelming.
So these everyday struggles people might just brush off as, oh, I'm just disorganized or I'm bad with time. Those could actually be signs.
Yeah.
What are some of the most maybe surprising ways this pops up during the workday?
Exactly. Many adults don't realize those chronic battles like always being late, forgetting deadlines, or that awful feeling of knowing you need to start something important but just aren't character flaws. They can be hallmark signs. Maybe you find yourself frequently late, forgetting meetings, even social plans. You might struggle intensely to keep your workspace or your files organized, to prioritize what needs doing first, which leads straight to procrastination. That feeling of, I know I should, but...
Ugh, yes, the shoulds.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Concentrating, especially when you have to read dense reports or long emails, it can feel like climbing a mountain. And multitasking, which so many jobs seem to demand, becomes incredibly difficult, almost impossible to do well. Or maybe it's emotional. A really low frustration tolerance, frequent mood swings, maybe a quick temper that seems to come out of nowhere. These are often deeply tied to ADHD. And, one of the sources we looked at brought up a really crucial point. This idea of a totally distraction-free environment, it's often described as a neurotypical fantasy.
A neurotypical fantasy. I like that.
Right. Because for someone with ADHD, the typical environmental distractions in a poorly designed office or even home office space, they can massively impact concentration and performance. It's not just a preference. It's about how the brain is fundamentally processing stimuli.
That phrase, neurotypical fantasy, is really eye-opening. So, if those traditional environments often work against the ADHD brain, what can we actually do? What are some really impactful, maybe even counterintuitive ways to design our workspaces, our routines, to actually support it? Where do we even begin?
That's the key question, isn't it? And it really starts by flipping the script, understanding that things we might label as distractions, like fidgeting, that's often your brain's way of trying to stay engaged.
So don't fight the fidget.
Exactly. Embrace it. Work with your brain, not against it. For instance, a fantastic simple hack: use clear storage containers.
Oh, interesting. Why clear?
Because your brain, especially the ADHD brain, is often highly visual. Clear boxes let you see what's inside instantly, without having to rummage or rely on working memory, which can be a challenge. It reduces that barrier to finding what you need and label everything clearly. Your future self, especially when you're in a focused state, will thank you profusely.
Okay, clear boxes, labels, makes sense. You mentioned fidgeting movement, so we should actually be encouraging that, not trying to sit perfectly still.
100%. Your brain often needs movement to maintain focus. Fighting that is just counterproductive. It drains your energy. So think about things like an ADHD chair, maybe a wobble stool or a ball chair, something that allows for subtle movement while you work.
Right.
Definitely incorporate standing desk options if you can. Even better, maybe a walking pad for tasks that don't require intense concentration, like answering emails or listening to a webinar.
A walking pad, okay.
Yeah. And keep fidget tools, spinners, putty, stress balls, whatever works for you right there, within easy reach, not hidden away in a drawer. As Warwick Batts, who manages client services and has ADHD, mentioned in one source, day-to-day I work at my desk, but the focus room is where I find it easiest to get deeply focused. Noises and people can be very distracting. This really highlights that need for tailored spaces, environments that support different kinds of brain wiring.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so embracing movement is key. But what about those environmental distractions? If a totally distraction-free zone is that fantasy, how do we minimize the right kind of distractions? And how can technology, which often feels like the enemy of focus, actually become an ally?
Yeah, it's not about eliminating all stimuli, but managing your personal kryptonite,
Right.
Position your desk strategically, away from high traffic zones if possible. Facing a wall can often be less distracting than facing an open room or window. Use tools like website blockers during dedicated deep work periods. Create those digital boundaries for yourself. And this is important: forgive yourself when you do get distracted, because it will happen. Just gently redirect your focus back. Beating yourself up is counterproductive. Now, technology, it can be a huge distraction source, but it can also be an incredibly powerful tool if you use it intentionally.
How so?
Think about task managers. Things like Notion or Todoist, ones that give you that little dopamine hit, that absolute pleasure of ticking things off, as one source put it.
Oh yeah, that feeling is good.
It really is. Set up automated reminders for everything: recurring bills, birthdays, taking out the trash, get it out of your head. Try time tracking apps like Clockify or Toggle, not to police yourself, but just to build awareness of where your time is actually going. That can be incredibly insightful.
I can see that being eye-opening.
Totally. And for getting ideas down quickly, especially when typing feels like too much effort, voice to text is amazing. Use the apps on your phone like ChatGPT or Claude. Just talk your thoughts out. And don't forget smart speakers. An Amazon Alexa or Google Home can be programmed for verbal reminders. Remind me to take my pills at 8 a.m., remind me about the team meeting at 2 p.m., play my focus playlist. Super helpful.
Using tech as an external brain almost. That leads nicely into visual cues. You mentioned labeling, but if traditional planners or calendars tend to fade into the background, how do we make crucial info really stand out for the ADHD brain?
You've got to make the invisible visible. Standard planners can just become part of the desk clutter.
Right.
Use large wall calendars or whiteboards for the big picture stuff, deadlines, appointments, project timelines. Keep it where you see it constantly. Color coding is your friend. Assign different colors to different types of tasks, projects, or even levels of urgency. It creates instant visual categories. And get creative with sticky notes. Don't just put them on your monitor where they become invisible. Put them in unexpected places on the fridge, on the door handle, inside your shoe. Somewhere you absolutely cannot ignore it.
Inside your shoe. I like that.
Whatever works. Even small visual cues, like using a specific brightly colored mug only when you need to remember to drink water, can trigger that routine. And this connects directly to color psychology. Color isn't just decoration, it speaks straight to our emotional brain.
How does that work?
Well, generally, blues and greens tend to promote calm and focus. Yellows and oranges can boost creativity and energy. Red can increase alertness, but you want to use that sparingly as it can also trigger stress or anxiety for some.
Interesting.
Yeah, and remember Warwick Bat's observation. Bright colors and shapes can be distracting. Neutral colors and minimalistic design can help with focus. So maybe opt for neutral base colors for your walls and big furniture pieces, beige, gray, soft white, and use matte finishes to reduce glare. Then you can use those brighter colors more strategically for your visual cues and accents.
So it sounds like it's really about creating a space that, rewards your brain and supports your natural way of working rather than trying to force yourself into some predefined box.
Exactly that. Personalize your space. Have things around you that are meaningful: photos, artwork, plants, maybe something that represents your why, your motivation. These provide those little dopamine hits that are so crucial for engagement with ADHD.
Little rewards built into the environment.
Precisely. And critically, design a routine that honors your actual energy patterns, not some idealized 9-to-5 neurotypical schedule if that doesn't work for you.
Okay, how would that look?
Maybe you create different zones or stations for different types of work or energy levels, like the desk is for deep focus, the comfy chairs for reading or brainstorming. Maybe even working from bed on really low energy days is okay sometimes.
Permission to work from bed. Some people need to hear that.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works. And keep transition activities handy, things like a quick walk with the dog, stretching, listening to a song, things that help you shift gears between tasks or recharge your focus. And what's really fascinating, stepping back a bit, is that these aren't just individual life hacks. Designing workplaces inclusively, incorporating these kinds of principles, it offers real, measurable benefits for businesses.
Like what?
We're talking productivity gains, enhanced employee well-being, attracting and retaining diverse talent, which has significant financial returns. Neurodivergent individuals, including those with ADHD, bring incredible strengths to the table. Surveys show things like hyperfocus, that intense concentration in about 80% of folks, creativity in 78%, innovative thinking in 75%, amazing detail processing in 71%.
Wow, those are huge strengths.
They are. As Warwick Batts put it so well, when I have the right physical setup, I do my best work. It's about creating the conditions for everyone to shine.
That's powerful. Okay, so we've talked a lot about environment, routines, tech. Beyond that, what about the broader strategies for managing adult ADHD? What does a more holistic approach look like? Therapy, daily habits, maybe medication?
Yeah, a holistic approach is definitely key. It usually involves a combination of things tailored to the individual. Therapeutic approaches are really important. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is often very effective.
How does CBT help specifically with ADHD?
It helps you identify and reframe those negative thought patterns that can come with ADHD, like beating yourself up for procrastinating. It helps you manage difficult emotions, develop practical coping skills for symptoms like impulsivity or disorganization. And it's also really helpful for addressing coexisting conditions, which are pretty common with ADHD, like anxiety or depression.
Right, they often travel together.
They do. Then there's also ADHD coaching.
How is that different from therapy?
Coaching is generally more focused on the practical day-to-day stuff. It provides very personalized support and strategies for things like organization, time management, planning, breaking down tasks, really actionable stuff to navigate daily life more effectively.
Okay, practical support. Makes sense. And then there's medication, which I know is something many people have questions about. What are the main options?
Sure. So broadly, there are two main categories of medication used for ADHD. There are stimulants. Common examples are methylphenidate, like Ritalin or Concerta, and amphetamine salts, like Adderall or Vivance. And then there are non-stimulants, such as atomoxetine, Strattera, clonidine or guanfacine.
How do they work differently?
Stimulants generally work more quickly. They tend to improve focus and attention and reduce impulsiveness, often by increasing the levels of certain neurotransmitters like dopamine in the brain. Non-stimulants usually take longer to show their full effects, sometimes several weeks as they build up in your system. They work through different mechanisms, but can also be very effective for managing symptoms.
Got it.
It's really important to remember, though, that while medication can be highly effective for many people, the improvements might not stick around if the medication is stopped. It's always a conversation to have with the doctor to weigh the pros and cons for your specific situation.
Absolutely. And medication is often just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
What about lifestyle changes? You mentioned things like energy patterns, but what about the basics like sleep, exercise, diet?
Oh, they're not just basics, they're foundational.
Hmm.
Absolutely critical complements to therapy and medication. Regular exercise is huge. It improves focus, can lower impulsiveness, boosts mood. It's like medicine in itself for the ADHD brain sometimes, definitely. And sleep. Oh, sleep is crucial. Lack of sleep can make every single ADHD symptom worse. Inattention, hyperactivity, mood swings, poor judgment. Aiming for that 7 to 9 hours for adults is really important.
Easier said than done sometimes, I imagine, with a restless brain.
It can be.
Yeah.
So working on sleep hygiene is key. Cutting down on sugar and caffeine, especially later in the day. Reducing screen time before bed. Creating a calming bedtime routine.
Okay. And stress. We touched on sensitivity to stress earlier. How does that fit into management?
Yeah, stress is a major symptom exacerbator for ADHD, so actively building in stress management techniques is vital. Things like yoga, meditation, even just simple deep breathing exercises throughout the day, mindfulness practices. And don't underestimate the power of nature. Just spending some time outdoors, even a short walk in a park, can really help calm an overactive mind.
Good tip. What about food and drink?
Nutrition and hydration play a bigger role than people might think. Trying to maintain steady blood sugar levels can help with focus and mood. Think high protein, high fiber, limiting sugary foods and refined carbs, eating whole foods generally, and staying hydrated. Even mild dehydration can significantly impact your mood and concentration. Keep that water bottle handy.
Wow. Okay. So environment, routines, therapy, maybe meds, and these foundational lifestyle things. It's a lot to take in, but it sounds like a comprehensive toolkit.
Right.
For our listeners who are maybe feeling inspired or maybe a bit overwhelmed by all this, what are some really practical daily strategies they could start putting into action, like today or tomorrow? What are those daily habits that can make the biggest difference on the ground?
Great question. It's about starting small and being consistent. First, use lists and planners. Seriously, for appointments, tasks, groceries, get it out of your head and onto paper or a digital app. And keep it visible.
Make it unignorable again.
Exactly. Second, break down big tasks. If a project feels overwhelming, just focus on the very first tiny step or set a timer for just 5 or 10 minutes. Getting started is often the hardest part. Third, use timers for focus. The Pomodoro technique is popular for a reason. Work for, say, 25 minutes and take a short break. It helps maintain focus without burning out. Fourth, declutter. Simplify your physical space as much as possible. Less clutter means less visual noise, fewer distractions, less decision fatigue. Fifth, try to maintain some kind of consistent routine, especially for mornings and evenings, and maybe your work's startup and shutdown. Structure can be really grounding.
Structure helps.
Definitely. Sixth, actively create those distraction-managed workspaces we talked about. Noise-canceling headphones, white noise apps, closing unnecessary tabs on your computer. Seventh, try to focus on one task at a time, monotasking, not multitasking. Finish one thing before moving to the next as much as possible.
That's a tough one in today's world.
It is, but it's more effective for most brains, especially ADHD brains. Eighth, if you feel comfortable, consider being open about your ADHD with trusted friends, family, maybe even colleagues or your boss. Understanding can lead to better support. Ninth, look into support groups, online or in person. Connecting with others who get it can be incredibly validating and helpful for sharing tips.
Shared experience is powerful.
Immensely. 10th, don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it, whether it's asking a colleague to clarify instructions or asking family for help with chores. And finally, a simple but effective one, practice wait times. Just take a brief pause, a breath, before responding in a conversation or making a decision. It helps counter that impulsivity.
Just a little pause. That's a great list of actionable steps.
Yeah.
Wow, what a deep dive this has been. We've really journeyed through the nuances of adult ADHD, haven't we? From understanding the core symptoms and how they actually show up in the workplace, to all these actionable strategies for designing your environment, using technology smartly, embracing that natural need for movement, and folding in those holistic lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
It seems really clear that managing ADHD effectively isn't about finding a magic bullet, but about really understanding your unique brain wiring and then developing personalized strategies that genuinely work for you, not against you.
Absolutely. And that actually leads us to a final, perhaps provocative thought for you, the listener, to consider. What if embracing the unique wiring of our brains, ADHD or otherwise, instead of constantly fighting against it, is actually the ultimate shortcut? A shortcut to unlocking unexpected strengths, creativity, and innovations, not just for individuals with ADHD, but really for everyone. Think about it. What could we all potentially achieve if our environments, our workplaces, our daily routines were truly designed to support our natural energy patterns and our unique cognitive strengths? What possibilities might that open up?